Nigeria is currently witnessing its most devastating floods in decades. Hundreds of communities across the several states of the Federation have been submerged, with thousands rendered homeless and thousands of acres of farmland swept away by the floods. While some other states have been submerged by flood, it calls for the construction of more dams at strategic locations to check flooding.
Now, in recent weeks, many states in Nigeria have been submerged by floods, with some residents in Kogi, Anambra, Bauchi, Gombe, Bayelsa, among others, in the affected areas currently facing a tough time, and that's putting it mildly. The incidents have recorded human and material losses, with several sacked from their homes. The extent of damage here cannot even be put in words. In the news this morning, we mentioned more than 2 million people currently rendered homeless and affected by this. Now, joining us this morning is Christopher Wanda Osareme. He's a documentary photographer, filmmaker, and has been documenting these events for posterity's sake. Welcome to the program this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks for joining us. You've been in Bayelsa for how long now? And can you give us, first-hand description of what the situation is like?
Okay, so this situation in Bayelsa is very, very heartbreaking because, people didn't really expect this flood. Bayelsa is surrounded by water, yes, but the flood that was expected was not to come in this kind of magnitude, and to cause this kind of catastrophic effect. So, it's a very, very heartbreaking situation down here. But, people are, trying to, survive, and that's what's happening in Bayelsa right now.
Oh, it's really sad to think of how bad things have gone. But, you can see it firsthand. Maybe you can tell us how much humanitarian aid is needed over there. We've seen different people raising funds for those who have been ravaged by the floods, but give us an insight into how much humanitarian aid you think is needed.
Okay, so the truth is that in Bayelsa State, there's one major place called Osbo Lake that the government, recognizes as an IDP camp, while there are many other IDP camps that are not really recognized. So yes, the government is trying to do what they can do, to be honest, but there's still need of other NGOs and support, because one of the other communities that are getting no help, the other communities that are, I would say, are neglected because of, the government attention is not really there. And, I've been into the communities, in the water, and I've seen houses that people don't even want to leave because of, they feel that if they leave, the robbers will come in and take their properties. So, it's a very, very sad situation. There's so much help needed by NGOs and other organizations, and it's going a very long way in also helping with what the government is already doing. So yeah, people really need help from other people, donors and NGOs.
Yeah, I mean, but how are people even coping? And these are, hundreds of, even thousands of people who have lost their homes. How are they being able to eat and drink and just live a normal life under these circumstances? What did you get to see in the time that you were there?
Okay, so it's something that you cannot really explain except if you're there, because a lot of these people, they had businesses, they had houses, they had things they were doing. The flood took it all away. There's some people that they don't have any option. The flood has destroyed their houses, destroyed everything. So, most people in Nigeria, especially in these communities in Bayelsa, they survive on daily bread. So right now, being forced to, stay in a particular place where you can't do your business, nothing is happening to feed your children, you are only limited to what you are given. So if the government is not giving attention to you, and an NGO comes and gives you, a small, bag of rice, you have to manage the children for that moment. So you don't really have options like that. So it's a very, very difficult situation. Things like using the toilet and some very important things are, it's almost impossible to do. It's either you're waking up 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning, according to the experiences I've had, to be able to do those things. So you can imagine, passing through that kind of situation. There are some IDP camps, which were schools before, and then the owners turned them to IDP camps to accommodate people. And now, in those IDP camps, the classes in those schools have been converted to, yes, IDP camps. So in some classes, there are about 5 to 6 families in a class. So you can imagine the kind of pressure, I've been to an IDP camp where they're always fighting, there's always misunderstanding, there's always a quarrel, because when they bring something to share, this mother is fighting with this mother, like, this food can't reach my 8 children, this food can't reach my 4 children. So there's always a fight, there's always a clash. So it's something you can't really imagine except if you are there. It's very difficult.
Wow, and you are there having to deal with all of this. How are you able to separate your emotions? How has this affected you?
Hmm. I really like this question because, it affected me personally. I think about 17 days ago, I had to leave my house because of the flood. So my house is closer to the water side, So we had to evacuate our house to a friend's house. So where I am right now is a friend's house. So it affected me, And then as a documentary photographer and filmmaker, I didn't want to embark on this. To be honest, I didn't want to embark on telling the story because of how bad I felt, passing through the same experience. But after about a few days, I realized that if I don't do something, there are many other people that are suffering, worse than I am. I have a friend's house to stay in. I'm still a bit comfortable, yes. But what of those that don't have options? What of those that don't have where to go? Those that they have to go and squeeze with five other families. So it affected me, but being able to, come into the position of helping other people, I feel is even it's a greater, I feel it's a blessing. It's a privilege to be able to reach out to people. So separating emotions and logic, I can't really explain it to you, but it's difficult. Sometimes I actually want to just cry and break down because of how bad the situation is. But it's always a blessing being able to reach out to people and being able to help them to in that same difficult situation that you have been through. And that's the case for me right now.
And it's okay to cry. It's okay on the days that you feel like crying to cry. Well, we're really sorry that you have to deal with this, to go through this, and that the people of Bayelsa have to go through this. Bayelsa feels like home in some form to me because I did attend the Nigerian law school there. So it's really sad to see what's happening. I'm hoping that, this is resolved very soon. How can people help? What kind of help, do the people in Bayelsa require at this time?
Okay, so there are many ways. I like that you asked this question because there are many ways that people can be helped right now. But one thing that we are shifting our focus to, which is attached to the documentary we are working on, is the post effect of the flood. Because right now, a lot of people are thinking about just what's happening now. But once this whole thing is over, let's say funds have been raised, some people have tried to reach out to people. But once this flood is over and it dries up, a lot of people will be in chaos. There'll be businesses that have been scattered and destroyed. So we are shifting our focus to the post flood. But even at the moment, there's still so much help. We've tried to help nursing mothers, we've tried to work with a few people, help nursing mothers, come out of where they were in the IDP camp to go to a foundation where they are being taken care of. We tried to give funds, there are three nursing mothers who were able to raise money for in less than 12 hours. In that 12 hours, about 5 active hours, we were able to raise about 71,000 for three nursing mothers, which we shared individually between them. We've been able to reach out to people. So one thing I'll say is that you can choose where you want to focus on. It could be helping the survivors now, that's the flood victims, by donating money, for feeding, because it's part of survival. They need to survive right now. But then you could also be looking at the post effect of the flood in terms of helping businesses survive, in terms of helping the farmers. It's said that about 70 to 80% of the farmlands in Nigeria have been destroyed because of this flood. So, I feel that and I believe that it's very, very important that people also look at the post effect of the flood and also see that as an option to be able to support the victims, because after now, there'll be a lot of problem in terms of the recovery, from all this, that's happened in these past few weeks. So there are two ways to go, like I said, helping right now, and helping even after the flood. So you can pick the one that works for you the best.
Just really heartbreaking, really, really heartbreaking. And I don't think words would be enough to express the pain, that these persons are going through. But thank you very much for your work and for the documentary so far. We hope that many people contribute and donate and are able to, send help to those people in Bayelsa. Osarime, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.